Okay guys, so to celebrate 400 subscribers, I've actually taken you inside, so the acoustics might be a little bit different, the lighting as well, and I just have a dive flag as my backdrop, but yes, I'm doing another Q&A, so yeah, I'm just going to go through a few of your questions. I know that I've probably answered them, and actually quite a lot of you have been asking some questions, which is great. This is exactly the kind of community that I wanted to build, but yeah, I just wanted to elaborate on some of your questions over the past couple of weeks. So as ever, if you have any comments, questions, queries, or even corrections, pop them down in the comments below and I'll address them next time, because yeah, I like this kind of interaction where you're kind of talking, I'm talking, and yeah, we can all sort of find an answer to pretty much anybody's questions. But yeah, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Let's get on to the first question. Okay, so the first question comes from the Puerto Rico Dive Club, and they ask, what is the name of your primary dive knife in this video? So I've got a few of my dive knives down here. So depending on the dive, I sort of carry a few cutting tools. I usually have a pair of sort of cutting shears. They're all sort of made for safety, but I also usually dive with this one all the time. This is a DIR Zone dive knife. They don't really have an imaginative name for it, and this just sits on my belt on my sort of right hand hip, and it just sort of sits down in that little loop over my sort of webbing band for my waistband, and there's no locking mechanism that can sort of fail or break, and that's it. It's not a fancy knife, but it's kind of exactly what you want. The main benefit of this is it's nice and compact. It fits away in a really simple sheath. It's blunt tip as well, so you don't have to worry about it sort of puncturing anything. It's got a serrated edge, so you can use it just to cut some fishing line, but you can also use it to saw through some stuff if you need to. It's really compact, and it's really easy to replace, because if you replace a dive knife that has an integrated kind of mechanism that goes into the sheath, then you have to buy the entire thing again a lot of the time. With this one, you can just buy a just serrated kitchen knife if you want, just kind of make the blade pretty much the same, and as long as it's about the same size, it should just stuff into that sort of nice and neatly. So that's my one. The only thing that I'd change on that is, instead of the stainless steel blade that it's got, I'd probably swap that out for titanium if that was available. Then I'd worry about losing it a bit more. I'd probably put a lanyard on it, but yeah, if it's steel, it's nice and inexpensive. It just means that it's kind of rusting a little bit down at the bottom. I also often carry this guy. This is a Mares force-backed knife or something. I don't believe they make it anymore, but this is a titanium sort of locking knife. I always attach a bolt snap just so it can be clipped off, and this is a folding knife, and yeah, it's titanium, so I never have to worry about it. It's got that serrated cutting edge. It's a decent size. Yes, it is a pointed tip, but yeah, as long as you're careful with it, then that's sort of nice and safe. But my largest dive knife is this guy. So this is a Green River, and this is really for sort of ghost gear and whatnot. So this is a big sort of cutting edge, long serrated edge. This one is a pointed tip as well, but yeah, this one's really made for sort of hacking through big stuff. As you can see, it's quite industrial. It's not that sort of fancy colorways or anything. Very simple mechanism. It comes with that sort of spring lanyard as well, so that if you drop it, it doesn't go too far. And it does come with a carabiner, which I'm not a huge sort of fan of, with this kind of locking gate. But yeah, if I'm ever sort of going for something that requires a lot of sort of hacking and slashing, then yeah, you can clip that off onto a D-ring, and then that's kind of there, ready for you to sort of go to work. So those are the knives that I typically take with me on the dive. Yggdrasil42 asked, you tried to trip me up with that name, Yggdrasil, you tree of life. That's a pretty massive DSMB. Does it double as a lift bag? Pretty much. So this is my my big DSMB, and honestly, they get a lot bigger than this. So this guy is what, about around 3, maybe 4 foot tall. And it's chunky. The primary function for this is to be seen even in sort of high waves. So you want something really big and really obvious. If I was going to sort of swap this out for another one, then yes, I'd get a larger one. I'd probably get something with sewless tape at the top. This was kind of all that was available to me at the time. And I'd also change, I'm not a huge fan of the sort of fluted bottoms, sort of DSMBs. I'd probably just go for something with oral inflation valve. I prefer sealed cell DSMBs. I don't like that sort of option where it kind of flute and closes itself. But yeah, with DSMBs, the bigger the better. If anyone's going to get a piece of equipment sort of after their sort of mast and fins, then DSMB is the way that I'd recommend, because it's purely there for safety. A lot of dive centres and sort of dive sites are requiring that at least sort of 1 in every 2 sort of divers brings one. A lot require every single diver, because if you're the one of the buddy pair that goes missing, you want the DSMB. So yeah, if I'm ever lost at sea, I want the largest, biggest, most obvious DSMB. And yeah, if I do need to lift anything, this can count as some positive buoyancy, myself included. If my sort of bladder is sort of ruptured for whatever reason, and I need to sort of ascertain a bit more positive buoyancy, then yeah, clip this off onto yourself, and then at least you can sort of control your buoyancy a bit better. Javier Franzoni asks, what do you have in your backplate to make the harness adjustable? So I have one of these. I actually have 2 of these, one on my sort of summary backplate, and then one on my twins. So this is, I've got 2 different versions. I've got one which is an A-gear Harper loop. I'll spell that out down here because it's not the most obvious. This one is a Mars XR XF2. That one's a bit easy to spell. Yeah, it's just a simple aftermarket sort of loop, and that threads through your backplate and just creates this kind of sort of loop that you can thread the 2-inch webbing band of your sort of DIR single piece harness, and just means that that left shoulder strap can kind of lengthen off, and then you can tighten it up, so it's a lot easier to get in and out of it. I will address the fact that a few years ago there was a bit of a hoo-ha between sort of A-gear and Mares, because they sort of claimed that they had sort of patents and all this kind of stuff, and it was sort of copyright infringement or whatever, but nothing really came of it. The sort of Mars legal team sort of asked them, and sort of nothing really happened. They kept sort of contacting them just to see sort of what to kind of produce any kind of evidence, and nothing really happened. So that's all I really know, but yeah, I have one of each, and they both work just fine. But yeah, this is a very, very easy way of sort of adding a bit of adjustability in your single piece harness, because that's the main problem with them. They're a single piece, so they're nice and strong. You don't have any breaks in the line, which means that they're very sort of robust, but it does mean that it's really awkward to get sort of in and out of them. This is a very elegant solution to that problem, and touch wood, I've never had an issue with it. Vahan, Bram, I'm just going to say Bram, ask, hello and thanks for the great content, you're welcome. What do you think as a tech diver about the new ScubaJet Pro 200 versus the more standard high-end scuba scooters? Is it a valid option? So when I first saw the ScubaJet, I was surprised by the size. When you first see it, you just go, oh, okay, it's just going to be a little sort of, basically this is what it is. It's going to be a small sort of scooter just to kind of buzz you around, a bit of fun. But actually, when you look at the specs, it's actually pretty powerful despite its size. So when you get into DPVs, it starts to get really complicated. They're kind of a whole sub-genre of sort of scuba diving equipment that you can spend just days just researching all the different add-ons and the little extra sort of bits and bobs. But yeah, when you compare it to not high-end DPVs, the really sort of fancy Suex kind of ones, but the kind of the base level ones, the specs are actually holding up, and it's much smaller. So it comes in a compact little package. Now I've never seen it or used one sort of actually in the water. It would be very interesting to sort of compare the two. But when you look at the specs, as long as the specs aren't exaggerated, they're actually very good, sort of holding up against these sort of larger established brands. So yeah, I reckon this is probably the way that they're going to go, mainly because of batteries. From what I can see, they had lithium-ion batteries, so they're a bit more compact. Yeah, despite it having, what, 44, I can't remember the units, I think it's pounds of thrust, it's pretty powerful. And actually in this video you can see kind of the way it's forcing the water sort of across this the girl's swimsuit. It's really pulling her through the water in a really small compact little sort of unit. So yeah, I can kind of see this as a sort of new style. It's the propellers as well, they're they seem to be contained, which might be, it's a benefit and a curse, because it's a benefit because you're not going to get your gear kind of stuck into it. It's a downside if you're kind of swimming through something and something gets sucked into it. You might not, I haven't looked into this by the way, but you might not be able to actually disassemble and free it actually in the water, so then you just got a big sort of weight that you have to carry around. But yeah, for some serious traveling and sort of saving a lot of energy, yeah, maybe this is the way the future's going to go. Hopefully we'll see it at the next dive show, whenever that is. I know that DEMA was cancelled and a few others have been cancelled, but yeah, at least they're getting pushed back. So yeah, maybe we'll start to see these at dive shows. Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to actually play about in the water, see how they actually feel. They seem to have all sorts of different sort of accessories, whether you're using it for stand-up paddleboarding or actual scuba diving. But yeah, and the price was quite sensible as well. It's definitely in the realms of possibility for DPV divers. So yeah, maybe this is definitely a brand to keep an eye on. Novatils RZ or RZ asks, do we still have to put on weight belt with backplate setup? Yes. You'll still need ditchable weights. You can come up with a sort of a backplate system, because you can get like thick 6mm backplates. You can have P weights and V weights and all sorts of stuff, sort of trim weights on it, but so that you're ideally neutrally buoyant. But I always like to have some negative buoyancy on me. So yeah, you either have integrated weights, you can add integrated weights. I'm not a huge fan of them, just because it's just extra bits and bobs and sort of clippy bits and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I dive with a weight belt, so just a standard sort of webbing belt, and that just acts as a negative buoyancy so that I can get down, and then in an emergency, if I ever need to, I can ditch that lead so that I can gain some positive buoyancy in an incident. If it's either myself doing it so that I'm positive on the surface so I can help someone without worrying about buoyancy, or at least negative buoyancy, or if I'm the one in trouble and my buddy can ditch that so I can be sort of floaty. But yeah, you'll always need a weight belt. It's more of a safety device, because you need to sort of get some positive buoyancy at some stage. But yeah, even on sort of backplate and harness systems, you still need a weight belt, but you can use integrated weights, and you can sort of spread and trim your weight out wherever you want it to. Personally, I dive with a standard weight belt. Andrew Marcus asks, do you use the QB system at all? If so, can you do a video on that? I've just got them on my new Drysuit and would love to learn more about maintaining and how to switch out the seals and dry gloves. Thanks, and keep up the great videos. Thank you. So yes, QB is a great alternative. The main benefit of them is they use a metal ring system. Actually, I have a set in here. So the QB dry glove system, for those of you who don't know, are basically a dry glove system that fits to your dry suit and basically allows you to have a dry hand whilst you're scuba diving. It's great for dexterity because you can have thinner gloves. Your hands are still nice and warm, but you can still do the sort of fine tuning of stuff, and it is just a bit nicer. I do prefer them over some neoprene gloves. Neoprene gloves are fine, but for sort of colder water divings or longer diving, then yeah, I just prefer the added dexterity and the kind of feel and sensation of a dry glove. The COPPA system, these are metal, which means that in really, really cold temperatures, you don't have to worry quite as much of them. Some of the plastic ones apparently crack. Touch wood, I've never had an issue with it, but that's what sort of COPPA claim, obviously. They come in a few different sizes, which is quite nice. There'll be, I think they start at 70 now, 70mm, 80, 90 and 100, and that's basically that diameter, and you basically want the smallest that you can fit your hand through. Anything too big and it's just a bit cumbersome. As far as looking after them, just look after these O-rings and sort of grease them every now and then. Just double check them. If you manipulate them a bit too much, then you can sort of cause extra wear and tear. So it's really just kind of wash them thoroughly. If you have got just an old bog standard toothbrush, just kind of give them a little bit of a scrub, nothing too much, but just to get any kind of salt or algae or anything out of there. Swapping them out is pretty easy. You probably get, if there aren't instructions with them, I'm sure there's something online. If you really want to, I can do something. The main reason why these ones aren't fitted to my dry suit is that it was just the integration. My dry suit had the Zytec sort of ring systems already fitted to them before COPPA actually came out, or at least were sort of mass produced in this, or available in this country. Would I sort of swap between Waterproof Ultima to COPPA? Maybe. If I was getting a new dry suit and you could have sort of COPPA fitted for a fair price, then yeah. I definitely like them. They're a nice kind of system to go on, and because they're metal, you know, they're really tough. But yeah, most of the upkeep is just kind of washing them with fresh soapy water to make sure all the salt's out, and yeah, just keeping an eye on those O-rings, making sure that they're not getting grubby or sort of thread-borne, and yeah, keep them nice and clean. Darren Hanar asks, I've heard they aren't effective on shallow dives and only come into their own past 20 meters. Would love to try someday. So this is talking about rebreathers. Yeah, I mean, rebreathers are very much a tool. So they will do their thing in a slightly different way to open circuit. Yes, their main benefit is in deeper diving because they're basically a gas mixing panel on your back, but no, you still get the benefits of it's much quieter. You have no bubbles, so the fish don't kind of scatter as soon as you get close. You still have the benefit of your buoyancy. You can inhale and exhale as much as you like and your buoyancy won't change. So no, rebreathers, they're useful at all depths. Yes, they do come into their own when you do start to go down deep, but yeah, a lot of sort of manufacturers are actually coming out with their semi-closed, especially for recreational divers. So we had the Hollis Explorer a few years ago. When Mara's bought Revo, they've brought out the Horizon, which is a smart looking unit. That's a semi-closed rebreather, so it does blow some bubbles, but not a lot. And yeah, you still get the benefit of that kind of neutral buoyancy, no matter how much you're sort of breathing, and that gas mixing panel on the back. But you still have the added benefit of the reduced weight. Sure, the unit themselves are kind of bulky, especially when you add the scrubber into it, but you're not carrying multiple tanks around to do multiple dives. They're a very neat unit. So no, they're good above 20 meters. They're good below 20 meters. But yeah, they're expensive. That's the main downside of rebreathers. That and the sort of quietness of when something goes wrong. This one comes from Ben. This one comes through my Instagram channel. So yeah, you can send me messages on my Instagram channel. I'll pin a link down in the comments below if you want to sort of do something, if you want to sort of send me messages. If you're worried about sort of feeling stupid and you don't want to put it down in the YouTube comments, then yeah, you can just head over to my sort of Instagram and just sort of send me a direct message, and I'll sort of reply to you. So this one is quick question about Drysuit. Got my first Drysuit a week ago and got it with neoprene socks. So this is what I preferred, neoprene socks on Drysuits, because then you can swap the boots out. I thought that I could use decathlon swimming shoes as rock boots to have a cheap alternative. If I would lose or damage these, it would only be a couple of euros instead of nearly 100 or over. True. I got my Drysuit socks in 43, which is a UK 12. Converting shoe sizes is tricky, but yeah, tried various sizes of swimming shoes, but none are big enough to fit in the ends. Sort of 46 to 47 was not large enough. In my area, it's not really big dive stores, so I mostly order online. And now to my question, I thought about different kinds of rock boots. Do you think they fit the same as swimming shoes or differently? Because I thought of ordering size 49 or 50 to get comfortable in it. The same applies to the fins without shoes. Can I wear my ScubaJet fins with my Drysuit, but with the swim shoes they don't fit? I'd be very interested in your opinion. So yeah, so Drysuit rock boots are sized to your shoe size. So if you're a size 10 or a size 43, whatever it is, go for that shoe size. They're intentionally bigger than a normal like running trainer size 10 to allow for that neoprene sock, and of course your undersuit sock as well. So they're usually a big shoe. So yeah, I have seen people use a just a cheap like canvas trainer that you can get from wherever, and yeah, as long as you go up about maybe 3 or 4 shoe sizes, then yeah, you can use them as a cheap alternative. Normally a backup trainer, because they're or backup rock boot I should say, because they're not quite as robust. They're not really made for diving, and they don't have a lot of the features that our sort of rock boots have. But yeah, they're definitely an alternative. But yeah, you do have to go up a good few sizes to allow for like 5mm neoprene socks, and however thick your undersuit socks are, to allow for sort of that in a larger shoe size. But yeah, if you go from a normal neoprene boot then up to rock boots, a lot of the times you have to buy another pair of fins as well to allow for it. I had to. You either manage to get a pair of fins that kind of fit on your neoprene wetsuit boots really nicely, and then just kind of sit on the end of your toes, but they get a bit floppy, or you get something that fits on your Drysuit rock boot, and then they're just a bit big or clunky over your neoprene sort of wetsuit boots. That's kind of the alternative that I prefer, something that fits my Drysuit boot, because after a dive with a pair of fins that are a little bit too small on your rock boot, they're really tough to get off, and your feet are surprisingly far away to try and yank them off. So yeah, bigger is better when it comes to fins, as long as they're not kind of wobbling around too much, your foot's not moving around inside the pockets. With your wetsuit boot, then yeah, you should be fine. But yeah, you may need to buy a second pair of fins. And I had a few questions, basically about Simply Scuba. So the main thing here is that I don't have all of the information. All that I know and all that I can definitely tell you from now is that I was made redundant about a week or so ago at time of filming. So officially I don't work there anymore. So you might be seeing me on some other channels doing some bits and bobs. You of course see me on my own channel, this one that you're watching this here on. But no, I believe they've gone into administration, and they're still trading the last that I've heard, sort of selling through some stock, but I honestly don't know what the exact situation is. After whenever it was March, as soon as I got back from my sister's holiday in Australia, I was sort of furloughed. So then it was very much just kind of spending time at home, just cleaning, tidying, and repainting certain things. But yeah, as of about a week ago, I was made redundant. So yeah, I don't really work there anymore. I don't believe the YouTube channel will be uploading anything sort of towards the future. I could be wrong. I don't know all the information, but yeah, as it stands right now at this moment, no, it's just my own channel. A few bits and bobs on the Scuba Diver magazine channel, which I'll pin down below if you want to see that. But yeah, that's kind of all I can say. That's all I really know. If you want to see Sean, I'm going to pin his his new channel down below, Awesome Outdoors. He's doing some sort of top listy type stuff. He was always more into the sort of skateboarding, sort of mountain biking and hiking, all that kind of stuff. But he does stuff about scuba diving as well. So yeah, sort of head over to his channel, subscribe to that as well. Yeah, and the future will tell what happens to Simply Scuba. Okay guys, so that was my 400 subscribers Q&A. Yeah, if you have any comments, questions, queries, corrections, everything, anything you want to say, just pop it down in the sort of comments below, and either myself or my marvelous community will get back to you. And so that, yeah, you can ask any question that you want. I'm trying to lean it more towards the sort of entry-level scuba, but yeah, if you have any technical questions about sort of what I don't know, gradient factors you want to sort of move on to, because yeah, there's been some interesting changes in sort of gradient factors over recent years. New studies have kind of shifted people's ratios, so that's quite interesting. But yeah, I kind of want to stick this to the entry-level people as well. If you're just getting into diving, or you're thinking about getting into diving, and you have questions, queries, any kind of worries, yeah, just pop them down in the comments below, and we'll get back to you and just sort of make sure that everything's fine, and you understand as much as you can. And yeah, if you need any kind of recommendations, either myself or the community can sort of say, oh yeah, you can go diving here, or now I wouldn't bother going there because this is much better. My main speciality is in equipment. I love talking about dive equipment, so hopefully I'm going to start sort of getting some new stuff in. It's a little bit quiet right now as far as the brands releasing stuff for obvious reasons, and we don't have the dive show anymore sort of going forwards, so yeah, we're not going to have that kind of touchy-feely stuff. But yeah, if you ever want to sort of ask me any questions about any kind of scuba diving equipment, then yeah, just tell me what you're looking for, tell me what you've seen, and yeah, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, do all that social media stuff, tell all your friends, because I'm used to, yeah, the 66,000 subscribers from the Simply Scuba channel. I don't really have that anymore quite yet. But yeah, anything you can do to help out my channel would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching, and of course, safe diving.